Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my channel. This is Paint with Lovejoy. Thanks so much for joining me today. This series of videos is going to be perfect for my first-time painters. And my first-time painters are those of you that have never painted before, or this is your first time painting at home. This is going to be my Monet series. There's 3 videos in this series, and I recommend trying each one of them. And again, it's just going to get you comfortable with mixing your paint and applying your paint to the canvas. So in this video and all the videos on my channel, in the description box below, there is a link to a supply kit, and those are all the supplies that you need for this particular video. And that link down there to where you can purchase your own, you can purchase them from Amazon or an art store. If you want a kit shipped to you, I do offer that as well, and that's going to be a link below in the description box. You'll pick your project from there. You can pick this video, and all your supplies, canvas, paints, brushes, traceable, everything is mailed directly to you. So check out those links below for your supplies. So like I said earlier, this video is for first-time painters. And as you get more comfortable with the painting process, I want you guys to go to my main online school, PaintwithLovejoy.com, and check out my Paint Your Pet class. After you get a little bit more comfortable, my Paint Your Pet class is geared towards first-time and beginner painters, and you're gonna learn about your value scale, and it's a core foundational art skill that you can apply to anything creative in the future. So as you're getting creative, just take it one step at a time and just have fun with the process. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything, please feel free to email me or reach out on the Facebook group or leave a comment on this video, and I try to respond to all the social media outlets in the morning and evening of every day. So I do my best to get back to your comments as quickly as possible. So enough talking, let's jump right into painting and start having some fun. Alright guys, this is going to be another fun painting. So head on over to where you have all your supplies, turn on your favorite music, and as always, make sure you take your progress photos. For this particular painting, once you have your traceable transferred to your canvas, you've got 2 options here, and I highly recommend that you do option number 1. Option number 1 is using the small pointy brush and black paint, and I want you to go over those lines that you transferred from the traceable with your brush. And what this is doing is giving you good practice with your pressure of your brush and kind of getting comfortable with the paint. We will be painting over these lines, so don't stress about these being perfect. If you don't have a whole lot of time and you need to do this painting kind of quick, you can do option number 2, and that's using a Sharpie marker just to go over the lines again. And all this is doing is just kind of keeping our composition solid as we get our beginning layers of paint on there. So whichever option that you choose, 1 or 2, redo the lines on your traceable and then pick up the video when we start moving into our colors. So again, once you've got your outline done, we're going to start with our light colors. We're using white and green, keeping it kind of light, and then we're going to add a touch of yellow to it to warm it up. And I am using that middle flat brush or medium flat brush. All right, we're going to start filling in some spaces behind our bridge. And again, I just want you to observe where I place them on the canvas, and I want you to mimic what you observe me doing to the best of your ability. This does not have to be perfect. And as you can see right now, if you have to mix your color a second or third time, don't stress about getting the exact same shade each time. This is an impressionistic painting, so we're going to have some different blobs of color in a few other random areas as well. So just as long as you can get the general guideline or the general idea of this here, you're going to have a nice painting at the end. With that being said, I'm very proud of you for painting at home and taking time out of your day to paint with me, especially if this is your first time ever painting. You're doing great. Just the fact that you're going through the video makes you already successful. All right, so here you can see I actually mixed a bit more green in with that original mixture. And we're moving to the other side of the canvas. And if your color shades are a little bit different than what mine are, totally okay. Again, just the fact that you're painting at home, I'm very proud of you. All right, if you're one of my first-time painters, or really any level painting, and you're holding your breath right now, laugh a little bit, take a deep breath. A lot of times we don't tend to realize that we're holding our breath until somebody calls you out. So just laugh a little bit. You're doing great. Now, if you are using student-grade paint, I encourage all my students using student-grade paint to apply your paint a little bit thicker. This is going to do two things for you. It's going to keep your paint wet a little bit longer, so that way you can do some of the blending. And it's going to give you a bit more opaque coverage. So again, if you're using student grade paint, just apply your paint a little bit thicker. And we're just kind of filling in the space. And if you happen to paint over the bridge, again, nothing to stress out over. If you paint anything today that you don't like, we just let the paint dry and you paint on top of it again. All right, so pause the video, take your progress photo, and we're going to be moving into that same green, but now we're going into our lake area, our reflection on the water, and just kind of mimicking that close to what we have. You're doing great. If you are painting on a stretched canvas, I recommend painting the edges as your color meets the edge. And here we're going to go back to that first mixture, white, yellow, and green, a little bit lighter, and doing the reflection on the other side. And just kind of filling in the space. And what we're getting to right now is what we call the underpainting, and that's where we've filled in all the canvas space. And then we'll start putting some layers on top of that. And again, as you're making your colors, if one's a little bit more yellow, one's a little more green, one's a slightly different shade, don't freak out about that. Just as long as there's a little distinct difference between each one of the shades that you have on your canvas, they do not have to exactly match what's on my canvas. All right, so now we're moving into a darker color. We're mixing our blue and our green. Makes for kind of a nice deep color. And again, filling that in behind the bridge, in between the space. And if you want to think of yourself as kind of an abstract painter right now, we're just kind of doing sections of color. Again, recreating some of the foliage and the beautiful landscapes that Monet painted through most of his life. He had beautiful gardens that he painted. And again, putting that same color below in the reflection on the water, on the pond. And again, if you're using student grade paint, apply a little bit thicker because I'm using student grade paint in this video as well. And you can see sometimes it's a little more transparent. So if you apply it thicker, you get more opaque coverage, or you can do a second coat on top of it. We will be putting more colors and details on top of this in a few minutes. All right, it's coming to life. It's looking nice. We're almost at our underpainting. And as we go through the process, I encourage you to actually get out of your chair, look at your painting from 3 to 10 feet away, and just kind of observe what it looks like from that distance compared to 2 feet in front of you. You will tend to notice different things. And as an artist or as a painter or somebody that's creative, that's all you want to do is learn how you see things a little bit differently or how you analyze things that you look at. And again, using some of that straight blue, placing it on top of our blue-green for a few darker spaces. And now using that color on top of some of our foliage. And my paint is still wet. I'm painting rather quickly here. So as I put this darker blue on top of some of the lighter yellowish green areas, my color is mixing with what's underneath with the blue I'm putting on top of it. And again, this is called wet on wet blending. And it's something that you just kind of play with, and you can move the brush around a little bit between the two wet colors of paint. A lot of times that's most of my students' favorite part of mixing and blending color is just playing with two colors together. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. This is taking shape nicely. So clean your brush really good. We're going to move into green paint, and we're going to put some more detail behind the bridge and in our foliage. So these are a little bit thicker paint, and I believe my background is dry at this point. And we're just putting some more details on our foliage, some more intense green, some few other colors before we move into painting our bridge. Hopefully you are finding a very relaxing process here by moving paint on a canvas. And you may be a little stressed out about your canvas, that's okay, but hopefully you're noticing that you kind of forget about the rest of the world while you're working on your painting. And that concept by itself is one of the best reasons to paint. We all have crazy, stressful lives, so if you can find once a month that you paint and just kind of forget about your normal life and focus on your painting, stress out a little bit about your painting, but focus on something different than your daily activities, that is a healthy creative outlet to have in your world. So please try to find as many creative outlets as you can. And again, we're still just using that dark green paint or the straight green paint, adding more details to our bushes, our trees, and the foliage around the bridge. Just kind of making little dots here. And moving to the other side, doing the same thing. And again, kind of cool to notice that we're using the same shade of green, but it looks a little bit different on each background color. The color right now looks a little more vibrant compared to the lighter green that we were doing just a moment ago. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. Remember to breathe. You're doing a great job. If you're inclined to kind of put some dots in a few places that I didn't, or feel like you need something else, go right ahead and do that. All right, so taking the dark blue, going back and adding some more thickness, some more opaqueness to where we already placed the blue. All right, now we're going to use yellow and kind of do the same thing, add some highlights. We're usually making little dots and dash marks. And again, I am using student grade paint, so my yellow is very transparent, so we can see a lot of the color underneath shine through. If yours is transparent like mine, or if yours is a little opaque, That's just where you're painting today. So don't stress about it being exactly like what I'm doing. And again, you're just utilizing your power of observation. You're looking to see the few places that I place it on the canvas and mimicking that on your canvas. But I tell all my students, trust your instincts. Your instincts are naturally guiding you in the correct direction. And if you're inclined to do something that I don't do, trust that and go ahead and do it. That's how you're learning. You're figuring out your process of creating, your process of interpreting what you see, and that process is unique to you. All right, so now grabbed a little bit of white and applying some highlights in the similar manner on here. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. Moving back to the straight green, still kind of giving the impression that we have foliage above the water and below the water reflecting. And if it helps, you can think of each brushstroke as like a leaf or a branch or a twig that you're putting on there. A lot of times keeping our brain busy while we're painting is to the benefit to get through the process. That's a lot of times why music helps relax you, helps encourage, helps just kind of take you away from analytical thinking. I tell many of my students in class that you're a 5-year-old. You're an adult kindergartner right now, so just have fun. All right, another good place to pause the video and take your progress photo. And we're going to clean the brush really good. We're going to move to the pointy brush. And I'm using white with just a touch of that light green that we were using earlier. So it's going to be a really, really pale, kind of spearminty green with a touch of yellow. All right, now we're going to be going kind of where our lake is, our pond. And these are little dots, little reflections. And they are kind of horizontal dots, kind of mimicking the curve of the pond that the bridge is going over. And again, this does not have to be perfect. You're utilizing your power of observation and just putting these dots in the general area that I am putting them. They do not have to be an exact replica of what I am doing. And if you imagine that these are kind of the ripples, the reflection on top of the pond from everything above it. And the reason that we're using the light color is it gives us such a big contrast to the colors that are underneath it. And it is totally okay to overlap those other colors. And again, if you have to make your color a second or third time, it does not have to be exact, but you just want it to be kind of close to what you were just using. You're doing a great job. Remember, every now and then, look at your painting from that distance of 3 to 10 feet away. And again, just notice how it looks different as you step away and your eyes are able to blend things together from a distance. All right, here I'm making a slightly darker green, or that same mixture, just adding a bit more green to it. Doing the same thing, just kind of going on top of these areas, adding little dots. All right, now we're grabbing a little bit of white, going back to that super light color, light with a touch of green, and now we're going to be moving on to the bridge. All right, so go ahead, pause the video. You're going to clean your brush really good, and now we're going to move into our bridge. So we're going to take some of that white. We're going to add a touch of the green to it, and a touch of the yellow. Oh, just a touch of the green. But keeping it very light, closer to white, and we're going to go over all those lines. And this is where you can overlap the black outlines that you did at the beginning. And again, play with the pressure of your brush as you're working on this. More pressure gives you a wider line. Light pressure will give you a skinnier line. If you happen to have a mixture of skinny and wider lines, that's okay. Your muscles are learning a lot right now. Your brain's taking in a lot of information. You're doing a great job. The next time that you go to paint, a lot of stuff that you learned today will make even more sense the next time that you paint. So this is something that you constantly build your knowledge on. All right, so getting all those lines done, overlapping those black lines. There should be no canvas space left when we're done with this part. All right, so now we're going to add a few kind of impression of highlights and shadows. So using that green, we're going to go kind of on the bottom of that bridge. And the paint is very wet, so use light pressure as you're doing this. And this is giving a little hint of a shadow. And we're going to do this on each one. And the vertical lines, when you're doing this one on the middle rung, make sure you stop and place them in between those vertical lines, because those are the posts that are closest to us. And then on the top, since that's the post that is closest to us, you can go all the way across, and it's as if the vertical posts are in between and underneath that railing. Again, this is something that looks a little bit more obvious from a distance, these little inflections of color. And then doing a vertical line on the left side of each of those posts, again, just gives the eye an understanding of where our light source is coming from and where our shadows are. So now we're using the straight blue, and similar place to where we were putting the green. We're putting it on there, but it's not a solid line. It's just kind of emphasizing and enhancing some of our shadows. So again, just kind of take this one step at a time. If you need to pause the video to see where I place stuff, go right ahead and do that. So now we're using a little bit of white, kind of going back to our pond, adding some highlights on there, and then we will go back to our bridge and add a few highlights on the top of the railing. Again, this does not have to be perfect. It's just giving an illusion of this structure, creating that 3D illusion on our flat 2D surface. All right, pause the video, take your progress photo. Going back to white paint and a few more highlights on our pond, and your painting is starting to take shape nicely. You should be very proud of yourself. Impressionistic painting is actually a lot of fun because it's just blobs and dots. All right, so now we're going for a light pink. So it's going to be white with a little bit of red, and you can make it to the shade of pink that you like. And we're going to be putting our lilies in here, or our lotus flowers. So I found it's easiest, just make a V and then do a line inside that V to give a hint of your lotus flower. Does not have to be perfect. It can be a blob. If you're just even making a circle or a dot or an upside down triangle. And then with the red, we're going to just put a little bit of the red in the center of the lotus flower. Again, does not have to be perfect, but gives the impression that we've got some pink flowers on our pond. All right, you guys, great job. Thanks so much for painting with me today. I hope you enjoyed the process, and I look forward to painting with you in the future. Cheers. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the process of paintings, and I hope your paintings turned out really nice, and I hope you are very proud of yourself. I am proud of you for going along the process, for conquering something that was kind of scary and realizing hopefully that's not as hard as you thought. So please try to find a creative outlet for yourself on a monthly basis. You just get better and better with more practice. And as you're uploading your pictures and videos to social media, please tag me at PaintwithLovejoy or hashtag PaintwithLovejoy. And if nothing else, please email me your pictures of what you paint, paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. It truly makes my day every time I receive those emails, and it gives me motivation to continue to make these videos for you. So let me know how you're doing at home. When you're ready to kind of paint your pet and take it to your next level, check out my online school for Paint Your Pet, paintwithlovejoy.com. And any comments, questions, concerns, leave a comment, send me an email. Like I said, let me know how you're doing. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to paint with me. I'm honored. I look forward to painting with you in the future. Cheers. And like always, subscribe, wait for that. Series of videos are for you. Let's do that again. Gotta wait for the plane.